Yep.
Okay.
Okay, boys and girls, welcome to the Fripp Outdoors podcast. We are just tickled to death to be here. This is our inaugural podcast, and I couldn't think of anybody better to join me, Scott Turnage, the old G3 sportsman. I've got Jeff Faulkenberry. He is on Truman Lake. He is the ultimate guide. Hunting, fishing, whatever, he can guide for it with the Endless Season Guide Service. And Jeff, welcome to the Fripp Outdoors podcast, buddy.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you having me on, especially the number one.
We're just tickled to have you. We're going to do this each week, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. I'm right here on the Fripp site here in front of me. I just want to make sure that it is up and going, and everything seems to be working. We've already got Wes Yancey in there saying, "Hey boys," so gave us a thumbs up, so it's working. So let's get right into it, Jeff. I know that you have been guiding for some time, and tell us a little bit about the last thing you've been guiding for, and that was duck hunting.
Yeah. Well, right before the last thing I've been guiding for is catfishing, but yeah, we just finished up duck season here in West Central Missouri, and it was a roller coaster of a season. We had a lot of warm weather. It seemed like the cold held out now for till here January and February in the Midwest, but it was a roller coaster. But overall, it was a good season. We had a lot of birds early, which we never really seem to have here in West Central. When I say birds, typically the big ducks, the mallards and stuff. And we had a lot of mallards early, and we held those birds. We had good rains in the fall, good crops of smartweed and millet, and those birds hung around in that warm weather. So when it stayed so warm, they started to get a little stale on us after a while, and we'd still see plenty of ducks, but it took a little bit more trickery to get them in the hole. Then we got some late cold weather, and when it got cold, boy, it got cold. I mean, freeze up, ice, real thick. And so we went to the dry field hunts and really finished the season strong out there.
If you got your headphones there, Jeff, you could probably hear a little better.
Yeah, I can hear mine.
Okay. One thing about duck hunting is especially guiding, what you just had to go through is the preparation. What is the preparation? I mean, I know you go out and you put your decoys out and you do all this, but just walk somebody through, because everybody thinks you just live such a glamorous life here. Just kind of walk them through and tell them just what it's like in a day's life, in the life of a guide, what you have to do.
Well, there is a lot of preparation. There's duck season isn't just that 60 or 80 days. Keeping up with duck lakes, and when you got duck lakes, you're generally in a flood area, so you're at Mother Nature's mercy all the time. And if it floods in the spring or it's dry, there's always stuff that you got to do. If it floods, you're just really out, and you're kind of hoping that the water goes down. You shut the gates off and get everything ready to try to hold a little bit water inside the levees when it does flood. When it's real dry, you're praying for rain, hoping the creeks get up so you can pump or open some boxes and let some water in some areas. But this year was a nice mix. I had some good hands this year. We done some different stuff down at some of the lakes I hunt, and we get invasive vegetation sometimes when it floods, and get water primrose and stuff like that you really don't want in those duck lakes. And so you have to go in and spray that stuff, and it never fails. The best time to spray is in July when it's about 103 degrees outside to kill that stuff, and you're in waders in water and weeds up to your knees. And son, let me tell you what, that's work. That is work.
I can only imagine. Well, speaking of work, I mean, us doing this podcast has been quite a lot of work is getting this going. And I'll apologize if there's any audio or video issues. This is our first one, so we're really trying to nail this down and to try to get this to work. This is going to be a fun outlet for all of us here in the outdoors, and so if there's any issues with this, we will work the bugs out. It's just one of these things that it's trial and error right now, and this is the first one, and we'll look back on it one of these days and we'll laugh at everything that we've had to do, because Jeff, you know just what little you was involved in here, how crazy this was before we actually launched this. We were all about ready to pop the cork on the jug and just start drinking and say the heck with it. So it's been quite the deal here.
I could tell Wes Yancey was fixing to spin out.
What is it, Jeff?
I said I could tell Wes Yancey was fixing to spin out.
Yeah, he's texting me. He's texting me right now as he says that we can still hear his computer. Tell him to turn that down or turn Facebook off. Have you got Facebook on, Jeff? And now he's calling me. See, here's Wes. Hello. He just turned his Facebook off. Okay, see if it's still working right now, and just let me know. Does it sound better? Okay, we'll see. Okay, once again, we apologize. That's our producer right there. He's having to tell us what all's going on. Once again, this is something that we're experimenting with. We're trying to get this done, and the only way we're going to be able to do this is to launch it. So anyway, Jeff, while we're still going on, you talked something about catfishing is going on. I know it's been cold out in the Midwest and battling a little ice, but when it does kind of thaw out, what's going on with the catfishing?
Well, I tell you what, it's probably my favorite time to fish and favorite time to take clients, because, you know, even though the weather is a little bit nasty, the fishing's probably some of the best it can be. It's pretty easy, and you can catch them 18 inches of water. You can catch them in 38 feet of water. It's pretty foolproof, really. And Truman Lake has such a shad crop and blue catfish crop that it's a lot of fun.
You know, people don't honestly think about catfish in the wintertime. So what makes the wintertime catfishing so good?
Well, a lot of times, and especially on a lake like ours, in any lake really, every winter you're going to have a shad kill, and some of them bait fish in that lake are going to die off in the winter. Be it parts per million of oxygen goes down, be it thermocline gets crazy. Lots of different instances. Ice can form on top of the lake. You get a little snow on that. Sunlight can't penetrate. Then the parts per million of oxygen goes down, kills off some shad. And anytime you kill off enough bait in a big enough area like that, them fish are going to feed, and they're going to feed hard. And the bait's easy to catch, and so are the fish, essentially.
So that's what you're doing, is using live bait, or fresh bait. You're catching shad.
Yeah, fresh bait every day.
And is that the drift method that you're doing?
No, we're just anchor fishing these fish. The shad are all in big schools, and so are the fish in big wintertime schools. Now, when we're fishing shallow water, we're looking for those fish usually on sunny days that are out cruising, picking up some of that shad kill up in the wind-blown pockets or coves or bays or whatever you want to call them. But when we're fishing ledges and stuff like that, we're fishing big schools of fish and putting that cut bait down there, and it'll amaze you that one will even eat it, because he'll have his whole gut full of fish when you catch him, but they just down there chomping them up.
Try your headphones again there, Jeff. Stick your headphones back in. We're getting a little bit from our boss man here is telling us that he can hear a little bit on there, so put your headphones back in. Once again, people, we're apologizing for any of the inconvenience that with any reverb or echoing or whatever. we're really just trying to overcome these little issues and stuff, and we'll get them all figured out. And this will be a lot of fun when we get everything going. But we'll get that going again, Jeff. But anyway, right now we're talking about catfishing. We're here with Jeff Faulkenberry. He's on Truman Lake in Missouri, endless season guide service, and it really is an endless season for you. I mean, you're doing something year round, and right now you are into the catfishing. You're guiding that, and what's coming up next?
Well, as soon as the catfishing, it'll stay good for a while, but we're going to be targeting those big pre-spawn female crappie here real soon. Them crappie are going to move into these creeks and stage up, start feeding up, getting ready for the spawn come, mid-April, and so we're going to start targeting those big crappie.
Just a little bit on our sponsor here with Fripp Outdoors. This is Fripp and Folly, and you guys ought to get online and check them out at frippandfolly.com, FRIPPANDFOLLY.com. It's some of the nicest T-shirts and outdoor wear that you could possibly have. I mean, this is just quality shirts. I love it. It's just quality shirts, and it's got some of the neatest patterns. You'll see as they come along. They're having new patterns and everything specific. I mean, from bird dogs to Labradors to redfish to crappie to catfish to anything. It's some of the coolest outdoor gear. We've got the wicking shirts, the cotton shirts, long sleeve, short sleeve. They're just a wonderful garment that you can wear, and patterns, like I said, are changing all the time. For the outdoor enthusiasts, this is some of the neatest apparel that you can wear. And so back to Jeff Faulkenberry here with Endless Season Guide Service. I guess one of the fun things that's coming up for you is your turkey/crappie fishing trips that you offer. A lot of people don't offer that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we do a little cast and blast type stuff. Here in Missouri, we can only turkey hunt till 1 o'clock. And, it's in the springtime, there ain't enough hours in a day anyway. So when you're done turkey hunting by 1 o'clock, what do you do with the rest of the day? You go pick a bunch of mushrooms, catch best crappie. So, I do. I've been guiding the same people turkey hunting for probably, 12, 13 years. At this point in my life, we get three weeks to work with, and I've been guiding the same people for those 3 weeks for years and years. But we'll turkey hunt of a morning, and then we'll catch us a mess of crappie in the afternoon.
Well, that's all cool right there. I mean, because a lot of people don't offer that, and Wes keeps texting me here, and but when you can go out of a morning and you slide the old G3 out there, and it's dark, and you're getting out there and listening for them turkeys on the lake. I mean, that's a unique experience for people that a lot of people don't get to do. They do their field hunts, which that's what turns out to be. And in the woods, hold on just a second. Got a phone call. I'm pausing here just for a second, guys. Yes? Jeff, what are you plugging your headphones into? Your computer?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was just hearing me through the computer speakers. Yeah. Well, if you guys can bear with us, we're going to really try to get this audio issue. Apparently, what you're hearing on my end is sounding kind of bad. We're trying to work out some kinks on some of this thing. You would think it'd be a lot easier, but it obviously isn't. I mean, I'm trying to talk on a USB mic, and I've moved it back just a little bit further. Okay. Okay, now Wes says right now that we all sound good. Is that right? We're sounding good on my end, Wes? Okay, so we're good. Okay, Jeff, you say a little something here.
All right. Ready to talk about some turkey hunting.
So Jeff sounds good too? Okay, we're hanging up. Now we're going to carry on with this. Okay, boys. Once again, I apologize for this. This is one of these issues that we had to get worked out, and I'm glad that we finally got this thing figured out. I don't really know what we did, but apparently we've got it fixed up.
You know, the thing is about Scott is there's no way to do this without a trial run.
It is. That's a fact.
Without knowing.
Let me tell you something, people. Y'all have missed out on some of the most fun video you could have ever seen when we were working on this, trying to go live with it. It was the most hilarious thing. We were laughing so hard that we could not breathe. We had a three-way conversation going on. We had the Join Me on here. Everybody was looking at everybody's computer. We had Wirecast tech support on the phone. We had him laughing. It was just a mess, and it was some of the most fun stuff that you could have ever watched on video. I mean, this thing could have won an award for best home videos or whatever, because it was hilarious. So let's try to get back to something here, Jeff. We do have Jeff Faulkenberry with Endless Season Guide Service around the Truman Lake area, and we are live here on the Fripp Outdoors podcast, and we're so glad that you guys could join us on this. Jeff, we were talking about some turkey hunting, getting out in the boat early of a morning, listening for that gobbler, then sliding the old G3 up there on the bank and going after him.
And that's my favorite.
That is just a fun thing right there. I've got to do that with you a time or two, and I don't know whether, because we've been interrupted so many times, I can't remember if we even talked about it. Tell them again what exactly that you guys do on these type of turkey hunt guided trips that you do.
Well, we, you can't. I've grown up in this area a long time, and I've got a lot of ground.
And that's the Truman Lake area in Missouri, central Missouri.
Yeah. Yep. And I've got a lot of ground around the lake that Core ground butts up to, which Core owns around Truman Lake, and you can't guide on government ground for money, but I've got all this ground around the area that I can access from the lake, and so we'll go in and we'll put the big Sportsman 200 in, and we'll have everything from 10-foot crappie rods, shotguns, and decoys, and turkey vests, and you name it, we load it all up in there. And we go up around to where, my parents got some ground, stuff like that. We slip around the backside because there's not – a lot of times you can walk in from places and you have to go under them birds on the roost or whatever, and we can slide in some areas they didn't even know we was in there. And even late morning, 9, 10 o'clock, we can just kind of dip around some trees, take our time, and you get that old late morning gobbler just up on the hill. And I know right where he is. And we grab our stuff and head up there and set up on him. And we can usually get that one put down. Yeah, then we go right back to crappie fishing.
And that's another neat thing, Jeff, because a lot of times when you're up there and you blast an old gobbler or whatever, you put him in the boat, you're usually pretty close to where the crappie are too. So I mean, it's not like you've got to go in and dump your turkey and regroup, retool, get the boat out. I mean, it's just usually a little old short boat run, and now you're crappie fishing. So
and it's prime time crappie fishing, so it ain't like you got to spend all day. I mean, it's prime time of the year, so you can catch them and get out.
Well, that's one of the unique things that you do. And again, Jeff is Jeff Faulkenberry here with Endless Season Guide Service. He is on Truman Lake in Missouri. One of the absolute best places for hunting and fishing that any person can go to. And the main place over there, tell them about the best place they can stay and all that you have a affiliation with.
Oh man, I tell you, we've got all around the lake. The Truman Lake, if you've never been here, it's 56,000 acres. There's 5 marinas on the lake. Most of marinas, all the marinas have at least a campground. We do have a full-service marina called Bucksaw Marina. They do have cabins and kitchenettes on the water. And then everybody's got an RV hook spot to hook up and everything. And then right here in Clinton, we're so close to everything. I can leave my house and have the boat in 15 minutes. But right here in Clinton, we've got some really nice hotels that cater to the folks when they come in to fish and hunt with me. You know, Scott and these guys, they come up and stay at these places, and I have a lot of clients. When they send them out, they give them a bottle of water or two and a little sack lunch, and people around here are really looking to take care of you.
You know, something else that Jeff does, Jeff, you do your own radio show with Johnny and Linda Everhart, so tell them a little bit about doing, of course, it's nothing compared to this thing that we just did here, but tell them a little bit about your radio show and what you guys do each week.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of history. The radio show's been going a long time. I'm 37 years old, and the first time I was on it I was 17. So been doing that show with them for roughly 20 years. It airs on 95.3 FM KDKD right here out of Clinton, Missouri. It's a 100,000 watt station, and we talk about everything: hunting, fishing, trapping, just everything going on in the outdoors. And would also like to welcome everybody to come over and check that out at www.missourioutback.com. You can look it up on the web. We post you can listen to the last 3 week shows. We do the show every week. It airs twice a week, and we have a lot of fun with it. We really do.
You know something about being a guide, once again, people think that you live quite the life, and actually, in essence, that you do. It's something that a lot of people wish that they could do. You fortunately have been able to be a guide and make a living doing things in the outdoors and chasing fish and game. It's one of those deals to where it's fun when the fish are biting. It's fun when the turkeys are coming in. It's fun when the ducks are coming in. But there's more to it than that, because you have obligations outside what you guide, and that is with sponsors. I know you're wearing a G3 cap. You got a Yamaha shirt on. I know you're hooked and affiliated with Garmin, and we'll get into your Ozark rods here in a little bit. But tell them what you've been doing here of late. That I'm not going to say it's not fun, because it is. You get to talk to a lot of people, but tell them what this is another thing that you have to deal with and have to do each and every, especially this time of year.
Oh, absolutely. I've been putting the miles on, and especially in January, February during show season. To best represent your sponsors, you got to be out there, and you got to be letting people know about the product and how it works for you and how it makes you successful. And you can sure put some miles on quick. The game's all about hustle, and everybody says, well, I can hustle. Well, you got to hustle this year and next year and the year after that, the year after that. You never really get in a groove, so you're always hustling. I love it. Don't get me wrong. If I ain't fishing or hunting, I want to be talking about it. That's for sure. And so we've been traveling, doing shows, boat shows, sports shows, seminars. I just got back late last night from St. Louis. I was home this morning. We've got ice on, so I couldn't fish, or I would have. And then I'm leaving in the morning. I got to go down to Bill Dance's house. We're heading down. It's about a 6-7 hour drive down to Bill's place to do some stuff for another sponsor. And then I'm going to turn around and come right back tomorrow evening, because I have a guide trip on Wednesday. And so that's the hustle. And then after Wednesday, I go to Rock Island, Illinois, Quad Cities, to do seminars up there with Hank Parker. So, yeah, we stay moving.
It's one of these things to where it's 24/7. When Jeff says it's endless season guide service, I mean it really is. It has. I remember when he was talking about naming that, and it just fit him so well, because Jeff is one of the hardest working individuals that you'll ever meet. I've known him now for a while. He says he's 37. It feels like I've known him that long. He's just a good guy. He's a good family man. He takes care of his family and his friends, and he's one of those guys that if you just called him and said, "Jeff, come get me," he'd be in the truck and taking off before you'd even tell him which direction he was going.
Betcha.
One of the things, Jeff, that you also do is you have your own line of rods. So you're affiliated with Ozark Rods. So tell us a little bit about Ozark Rods and who they are.
Yeah, Ozark Rods is it's a company based out of Illinois now. It was a Missouri company, and it's based out of Illinois over on Ren Lake. And they've always done crappie rods in various models, all the way up from 5-foot dock shooters to 16-foot spider rigging rods. And 2 years ago, they asked me, they were one of my crappie sponsors. 2 years ago, they asked me about a catfish rod, and they asked me if I would design one. And so I did, and they went over so well, they said, "Jeff, we want to put your name on it and make that your signature series." I did 2 models of rods, kind of a big, heavy river rod, and then a lake rod. And, it's went over just superb. And they're a fine rod. They're an S-glass, E-glass combo. They got 10 eyes on them. Kind of one of those designed by a catfisherman for a catfisherman. And you can put 100 catfishermen in a room and ask their opinion on something, and you're probably going to get about 97 different answers. But, that's what works for me, and people are really liking them.
We're getting a couple of questions right here. One from Ziggy. Ziggy, I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, but it looks like Cortium, but we'll just go with Ziggy. He wants to know what dates your season runs, so I'm going to say he may be talking about what you're doing now for catfishing. So what are the seasons on catfishing?
Oh, we'll fish all year long, all the way to November 1st. I start guiding duck hunts the first weekend in November, so we'll fish every day between here and there.
Okay, well, that pretty much, I think that ought to answered it right there. Just right now till duck season.
Yeah.
Also got from Brian Lanham, says, "Hey, from West Virginia." Hey, back to you there, Brian. We appreciate you joining us here on the Fripp Outdoors podcast. It's been a lot of fun that we've finally got this thing launched, and still got a little bugs to work out, and we're just loving the fact that Fripp has been so gracious to let us do this podcast. I think this is really going to be big. Once we get going on this, I think this is really going to be big. And I guess Ziggy here was wanting to know about turkey season. So, Jeff, when's the turkey season?
Our turkey season opens this year on the 16th of April, I'm saying, and it'll run 3 weeks.
And they can get a hold of you. How's the best way? Just on Facebook? Is that a good way?
Facebook's a good way. You can go to either of my pages. You can go to my name, Jeff Faulkenberry, and you can follow on there or send me a friend request. If you do send me a friend request, please send me a message to that page that says, "Hey, saw you and Scott on the Fripp and Frawley show." With technology now, we get friend requests from all over the place. So you never know what's real and what's not. So I like when somebody sends me a friend request, at least send me a message to tell them where you met me, saw me, heard about me. And I've got a business page called Jeff Faulkenberry Outdoors. Welcome you to go take a look at that page, like and follow that also, share, and get a hold of me on there is probably the best way. That's another part of the hustle between doing all the fishing and all the hunting and all the shows and all the sponsor stuff, and then come home and be a husband and a dad and all that. With the avenues of social media and internet and everything now, I'm in the midst of all that, I'm answering emails, Facebook messages, text messages, phone calls. So it's a hustle. It's a hustle.
We're doing that as we're doing this.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here now. I just put a link, Jeff Faulkenberry Outdoors, right there on the comment section. You can click on that, and that'll pull up his page.
We're on Instagram also.
On Instagram. If you can't find Jeff Faulkenberry, then you're just not looking.
You Google my name in Truman Lake, you can come up with me.
One of the things, Jeff, here in the outdoor industry that we're all so proud to be in and everything, with all the guide trips that you do and all the shows that you go to, what do you think the future of the outdoor industry is these days? What are you seeing that you've been hearing about, or just from some of the shows or some of the people that you talk to?
Well, that's a kind of an open question, because there is some avenues that you're on social excuse me, so unsure where that's going to go. But let's talk about sports shows first. You know, we were at a media camp last week and visited with some writers down there, and there's one in particular who's already started an online sports show that you can, it's basically just like going to your hometown sport and boat show. You go online, you walk down the halls, you see all the booths and all the boats and that. And if you want to purchase something, you click on it. I look for that to become a lot bigger throughout regular just online shopping. A guy can browse and compare products and stuff like that. You know, the other question is, Scott, the open part of that is between sales rep firms and companies and this and that and that and this, you know, it seems they change hands a lot, so you never know which direction things are going to go. And it's this day and age, everything's getting a little bit different, almost scary.
You know, I'm employed with G3 Boats, and I can just tell a little bit to everybody that we're as busy as we've ever been. I mean, the economy is really doing well. It reminds me a lot of the 80s. I know some of you out there may not remember the 80s, but those of you that do, I can tell you it was a wonderful time. We could all make money. Everybody spent money. Businesses were flourishing, and that's what we're having now. We've really had an excellent time. We can't hire enough people. I mean, if somebody is looking for a job in Lebanon, Missouri, they should be able to find a job at G3 Boats. Jeff, you've been running a G3. You're on the pro team. You're one of the G3 certified guides, and so you know what we're talking about. I mean, we try to make a quality boat. I'm not going to sit up here and you know, sing all the praises to it, because we are here talking to Jeff Faulkenberry. But Jeff, I mean, you've run the Sportsman 200. You were one of the instrumental guys in developing that Sportsman 200. So I guess we have anything to blame on it, I guess we can blame you, and then I'll take the credit for everything that works well.
Yeah, that'll work. I've run a handful of them, and I've run everything from the flat bottom Johns to the V anglers to now the Sportsman 200. And I can tell you this, there ain't a finer aluminum boat out there, and I'll guarantee it. And a better company to be part of their team. G3 is just like another little family. We all stay in contact and celebrate birthdays just like you would with your aunts, uncles, and cousins. And it's a great company. It makes a great product, and I just don't feel like they can be beat.
Well, and you know, that's just like you talk about great products and great companies. That's just like this company that we are hosting this podcast from, with Fripp and Folly. You know, I can go on all day about the quality of garments that they make, and I'm wearing this long sleeve tee right now, and it is, I'm telling you, if I had 40 of them, I'd wear one every day. So, Rusty, if you can get me 40 of them, I'd wear them every day. This is just a wonderful company. They've established in 2012, as you can see on the logo on here, and they just really wanted to try this out and to get everybody out into the, you know, familiar, but not only with them, but to let's get somebody on here that can talk to people in the outdoor industry. I don't know why they chose me, but they did. But somebody like Jeff, I couldn't think of a better first guest host on here as Jeff. You're very knowledgeable. You work your tail off. You know everything there is to know about the outdoors. I mean, you're just about like Jeremiah Johnson. We could just blindfold you and put you anywhere, and you could survive.
I appreciate it.
But it's been fun talking to you. I'm not real sure how long these things are supposed to go. It feels like we've been talking for an hour, and mainly because we were on the three-way call for a good hour and a half trying to get this thing going. But we appreciate you guys tuning in, and any of you guys that shared this podcast on your Facebook pages. We're going to draw for a nice Fripp care package that will include a shirt and a cap and a koozie and a nice tumbler. We'll have somebody draw for that and notify you that you have won. We appreciate everybody that has put up with this. This has been quite the ordeal to get this started. We've had a ball. Jeff, I hope that we didn't I hadn't even eaten supper. I know you haven't either.
I haven't. one thing I want to let the folks out there watching and listening know is the more stuff like this, Fripp and Frawley being such a great company, but the more you like and share this stuff and the bigger this gets, the more stuff we could do and the more stuff they can give away. So please go like and share their page and share these videos, and it'll just benefit everybody.
Well, before we go, Jeff, is there any tip that like you can give to a beginner, let's just say in catfishing, because that's what you're getting into right now? What'd be a good overall tip for somebody that they could on their home lake?
Don't overlook shallow water, especially when the sun's shining, the water temperature's cool like it is. Don't overlook that shallow water because, and I'll give you a real short scientific breakdown of it, but that shallow water warms up faster. The sun's shining, the algae's blooming, all the bait fish are up there doing their thing, and that's where the fish are going to be too. So don't overlook that shallow water in the wintertime. I think you'll be really surprised.
All right, well, we're going to get out of here. We appreciate you guys watching the Fripp Outdoors podcast, the inaugural one. Jeff, thank you very much. You guys can look up Jeff on Facebook. That's Jeff Faulkenberry. And Jeff, we really appreciate it.
Hey, bud, anytime.
Dude on here, man. We had a lot of fun. I know we'll do it again.
Absolutely.
And, it was a lot of fun. So frippandfolly.com. Check those guys out. Get you some T-shirts. Be as comfortable